My friend, imagine this. You wake up in the morning feeling light, free, at peace. No one's words sting you, no one's actions shake you. No insult, no betrayal, no foolish behavior from others has the power to control your emotions. This is the life of the unshaken, the one who has mastered their mind. And today I will show you how to live that way. Your reaction is your responsibility, not theirs. This simple truth is the key to an unshakable life, yet so few ever realize it. Every day people walk through life believing that their emotions are at the mercy of others. Someone insults them and they become angry. Someone ignores them and they feel hurt. Someone challenges them and they feel the need to defend themselves. But what if none of this was necessary? What if, instead of reacting, you simply observed? Instead of allowing others to dictate your emotions, you chose them for yourself? This is the power of mastering your own response. Most people believe they have no control over their emotions, that if someone does something offensive, they must feel offended. But this is a lie. No one forces you to react. No one reaches inside your mind and commands you to feel anger or pain. The choice is always yours. Yet because people are conditioned to react, they assume it is the only way. They let their emotions be puppets, controlled by the strings of others. But the moment you realize that your reaction belongs to you and you alone, you become free. Imagine someone walks up to you and shouts an insult. The words leave their mouth, they reach your ears, but now the true test begins. Do you absorb their words, letting them settle in your mind like a seed that grows into anger, or do you let them pass through you, unaffected? The answer determines everything. If you react, you are playing their game. You are giving them power over you, allowing them to dictate your emotions. But if you refuse to react, if you remain still, unshaken, you have won. They expect a reaction. They want to see you lose control. But when you don't, their power over you disappears. This is not weakness. It is strength. It is the highest form of self-mastery, to remain unmoved by the words and actions of others. Some might say that this is impossible, that emotions are automatic, that anger and frustration are natural responses. But natural does not mean necessary. Fire naturally burns, but water extinguishes it. You have the ability to be the water, to put out the flames of anger before they consume you. Most people live as slaves to their emotions, believing that external events justify their reactions. They say, I got angry because they disrespected me, or I was hurt because they ignored me. But this thinking is flawed. Disrespect is an action, anger is a choice, ignorance is an action, hurt is a choice. The problem is not what happens, but how you interpret it. A man who knows his worth does not need validation, and so he is not offended by disrespect. A man who understands himself does not need constant attention, and so he is not wounded by neglect. The true power lies in perspective. If you believe you must react, you will. But if you understand that your reaction is optional, that it is a conscious decision rather than a forced response, then you gain control. And in that control, you find peace. The world is unpredictable. People will insult you, betray you, challenge you, and test you. But none of that matters if you refuse to be affected. Look at the strongest, most disciplined people in history. They were not the ones who reacted emotionally to every slight, every criticism, every act of disrespect. They were the ones who remained still, who understood that their emotions were theirs to command. They knew that the moment they let someone else dictate how they felt, they had already lost. The greatest leaders, the wisest thinkers, the strongest warriors, they all understood this truth. No one can make you feel anything unless you allow them to. Think of it like a fortress. If your mind is weak, it has open gates, allowing any invader to enter and wreak havoc. But if your mind is strong, the gates remain shut, and no enemy can step inside. Words, insults, and actions from others become powerless, when they have no entry point. This is why self-mastery is the ultimate form of strength. It means you are untouchable, unshaken, unaffected. Some might argue that to suppress emotions is to deny one's humanity, but this is a misunderstanding. It is not about suppression, it is about discipline. Suppression is when you feel anger but force it down, hiding it beneath the surface. Discipline is when you do not allow anger to arise in the first place. There is a difference between controlling an emotion and eliminating the need for it. If you understand that your reaction is your responsibility, then you no longer feel compelled to react. Instead, you observe, you step back, you see the situation as it is, not as your emotions want it to be. The greatest power a person can have is self-control, and the greatest weakness is emotional slavery. If every little thing sets you off, you are not in control of your life. But if you master yourself, if you choose your reactions rather than being controlled by them, then no one can touch you. No insult will shake you, no betrayal will break you, no disrespect will disturb your peace. The world is full of people who will try to provoke you. They will test your patience, challenge your composure, and attempt to drag you into their chaos. But you do not have to follow. You do not have to give them what they want. Let them insult, let them mock, let them act as they will, but do not react. Their actions are theirs. Your response is yours. Do not trade your peace for their turmoil. When you react, you are no longer in control. But when you remain still, when you refuse to give in to anger or frustration, you hold the ultimate power. And in that power there is freedom. Freedom from the control of others, freedom from emotional weakness, freedom from the unnecessary burdens of life. True strength is not found in fighting back. It is found in not needing to. People's actions reflect them, not you. This is one of the most liberating truths you will ever understand. Every day people will treat you in ways that seem unfair, unkind, or unjust. Some will insult you, others will betray you, and some will act in ways that make you question your worth. But here's the truth. Their behavior is a mirror of their own character, not a judgment of yours. If someone lies to you, it is because they are dishonest, not because you are unworthy of the truth. If someone disrespects you, it is because they lack respect within themselves, not because you deserve to be treated poorly. People do not act according to who you are, they act according to who they are. And the moment you realize this, you free yourself from the weight of their actions. The problem is that most people take everything personally. If someone treats them badly, they assume they did something wrong. If someone rejects them, they feel like they are not good enough. But this is an illusion. The way people treat you is a reflection of their own mind, their own struggles, their own weaknesses. It has nothing to do with you. Imagine walking through a crowded street and a stranger bumps into you without apologizing. You could get angry, believing they were disrespectful. Or you could realize that their lack of courtesy is about them, not you. Perhaps they are lost in thought, perhaps they are having a bad day, or perhaps they have never been taught proper manners. Either way, their actions are a reflection of their own reality, not yours. But most people do not see it this way. They internalize the behavior of others, believing it is a measure of their own worth. When someone speaks rudely to them, they take offense. When someone ignores them, they feel unimportant. When someone is unkind, they feel unlovable. But these are false conclusions. A person's actions reveal who they are, not who you are. A person's words reveal their mind, not your value. When you understand this, you stop letting the actions of others affect you so deeply. You stop personalizing every insult, every rejection, every negative interaction. You realize that what others do is about them, not about you. The world is full of people who are hurt, insecure, and lost. Many of them project their pain onto others, acting in ways that are cruel or dismissive. But if you take their actions personally, you are allowing their wounds to become yours. If someone lashes out at you in anger, it is not because you deserve it. It is because they have no control over their emotions. If someone tries to belittle you, it is not because you are small. It is because they feel small themselves. People treat others based on their own inner world. A person who is happy and secure will spread kindness, while a person who is miserable and insecure will spread negativity. This is why it is foolish to let the actions of others define how you feel about yourself. If a blind man steps on your foot, you do not take it personally. You understand that he cannot see. In the same way, when someone treats you poorly, understand that they are blind in their own way. Blind to kindness, blind to wisdom, blind to self-control. Their blindness has nothing to do with you. Think about the strongest, most unshakable people in history. They were not controlled by the opinions or actions of others. They understood that people act from their own limitations, their own fears, their own weaknesses. Imagine a great tree standing tall in the middle of a storm. The wind howls, the rain beats against it, yet the tree remains standing. Why? Because it does not take the storm personally. It understands that the wind is just wind, the rain is just rain. It does not assume that the storm is attacking it. It simply endures. This is how you must be. When people mistreat you, when they act out of their own weaknesses, do not take it as an attack. See it for what it is, a reflection of their storm, not yours. If you let every harsh word, every rude action, every disrespectful encounter shake you, you will never find peace. But if you understand that these things are not about you, you will become untouchable. Most people react emotionally to the behavior of others because they do not separate themselves from the situation. If someone speaks to them with disrespect, they immediately feel the need to defend themselves, to fight back, to prove something. But why? What does their rudeness have to do with you? If a person acts foolishly, does it mean you are foolish? If a person is dishonest, does it mean you are untrustworthy? Of course not. Yet people react as if every action directed toward them is a statement about who they are. This is a mistake. When you internalize the behavior of others, you are allowing them to control you. But when you see that their actions are simply a reflection of their own character, you take back your power. If a person is angry, let them be angry. If a person is cruel, let them be cruel. That is their burden, not yours. Your only responsibility is to remain who you are, regardless of how others behave. There is immense freedom in realizing that you are not responsible for how others act. You are only responsible for how you respond. If someone treats you unfairly, you do not have to absorb their negativity. If someone is cold or distant, you do not have to question your worth. You have the choice to rise above, to remain unmoved, to let their actions be their own problem, not yours. This does not mean you tolerate mistreatment or allow yourself to be walked over. It simply means you do not let the behavior of others dictate your inner peace. When you react emotionally to someone's behavior, you are giving them control over you. But when you remain steady, when you refuse to take their actions personally, you become free from the opinions of others, free from the weight of their judgments, free from the burden of carrying their negativity. What others do is a reflection of them, and once you accept this truth, no one will ever have power over you again. Emotions are powerful, but if left unchecked, they become a force of destruction. Most people go through life as slaves to their emotions, allowing anger, fear, sadness, and frustration to dictate their action. They lash out in anger when provoked, they crumble in fear when faced with uncertainty, and they drown in sorrow when life does not go their way. But emotions are not meant to be masters. They are meant to be servants. If you do not control them, they will control you, pushing you into reactions that you later regret. Imagine a man who allows his temper to dictate his actions. He speaks words he cannot take back, burns bridges he cannot rebuild, and creates damage he cannot undo. In that moment of rage he feels justified, but when the storm passes, he is left with nothing but destruction. The same happens with fear. A person who allows fear to control them will never take action, will never step beyond their comfort zone, and will never achieve what they are capable of. They will remain trapped, not because they lack ability, but because they let their emotions dictate their limits. The key to mastering life is mastering yourself, and the key to mastering yourself is mastering your emotions. Most people believe that emotions happen to them, that they have no control over how they feel. But this is a lie. Emotions do not appear out of nowhere. They are created by your thoughts, by the way you interpret the world around you. If someone insults you, you feel anger because you believe their words have power over you. If someone betrays you, you feel devastated because you believe their actions define your worth. But what if you changed the way you thought? What if, instead of reacting, you observed? What if, instead of being controlled, you took control? The strongest people in history were not those who allowed their emotions to rule them. They were those who remained steady in the face of chaos, who refused to let temporary feelings dictate their long-term decision. They understood that emotions are fleeting, that feelings come and go, but actions have consequences. And so they did not allow themselves to be swept away by emotion. They remained in control. Imagine a river that is calm and steady, flowing smoothly toward its destination. Now imagine a river that is wild and uncontrolled, thrashing against rocks, spilling over its banks, destroying everything in its path. Which one do you want your mind to be? Most people live like the wild river, letting every little thing throw them into turmoil. A small inconvenience makes them frustrated. A rude comment ruins their whole day. A minor setback convinces them to give up. They are tossed around by their emotions, never in control, never at peace. But the wise person understands that emotions are like waves in the ocean. They rise and fall, but they do not have to carry you away. You can feel anger without acting on it. You can feel sadness without drowning in it. You can feel fear without being paralyzed by it. This is the essence of control: to acknowledge emotion but not be ruled by it, to recognize feelings but not allow them to dictate your actions. This is how you take back your power. People often mistake emotional control for suppression, but they are not the same. Suppression is denying your emotions, pretending they do not exist. Control is recognizing them but not being dominated by them. A man who suppresses his anger will eventually explode. A man who controls his anger will direct that energy towards something useful. The goal is not to become emotionless. The goal is to ensure that emotions do not dictate your behavior. Imagine a warrior standing on a battlefield. If he allows fear to control him, he will hesitate and fall. If he allows anger to consume him, he will make reckless decisions. But if he controls both, he remains calm, steady, and effective. Life is no different. Every day you are faced with challenges, with people who test your patience, with situations that provoke strong emotions. If you are not in control, you will react impulsively, making choices based on temporary feelings rather than wisdom. But if you master yourself, you will remain steady, acting not from emotion but from clarity. The truth is, emotions are powerful, but they are also temporary. The anger that feels overwhelming today will fade tomorrow. The sadness that seems unbearable now will pass with time. But the decisions you make in those moments can last a lifetime. A single moment of uncontrolled rage can destroy relationships that took years to build. A single moment of fear can cause you to miss opportunities that may never come again. This is why control is essential. When you control your emotions, you control your future. You ensure that no temporary feeling leads you to permanent regret. This does not mean you do not feel emotions. It means you do not let them drive you. You do not let the moment dictate your future. You recognize that emotions are like storms. They pass. And just as a wise sailor does not throw himself into the sea when the waves rise, A wise person does not throw away their peace over a temporary feeling. Most people believe they have no control over their emotions because they have never practiced control. They allow themselves to be led by impulse, to react without thinking, to surrender to every feeling as if they have no choice. But just as the body can be trained, so can the mind. You can train yourself to remain calm in stressful situations. You can train yourself to respond with wisdom instead of anger. You can train yourself to let go of fear and move forward with courage. This is not something that happens overnight, but it is something that is possible. Every time you choose not to react emotionally, you strengthen your control. Every time you take a deep breath instead of lashing out, you build discipline. And over time, you become the master of yourself. You reach a point where nothing and no one can pull you into a state of chaos. You remain steady, no matter what happens around you. Think of the greatest minds, the strongest leaders, the most disciplined warriors. They all had one thing in common: control. They did not allow insults to shake them. They did not allow fear to stop them. They did not allow sadness to break them. They understood that emotions are a tool, not a master. When controlled, emotions can be used as fuel. Anger can drive action. Fear can sharpen awareness. Sadness can deepen understanding. But when uncontrolled, emotions become a prison, trapping you in reactions that lead nowhere. This is why mastery of emotion is the highest form of strength. It is easy to be controlled by feelings. It is easy to react without thinking. But to remain steady, to choose your response instead of being controlled by impulse, that is true power. And when you reach that level of control, no one, not an insult, not a betrayal, not a single moment of difficulty can ever take your peace away from you. Silence and indifference are the ultimate power. In a world where everyone is quick to react, quick to argue, and quick to prove themselves, the ability to remain silent and unmoved is a rare strength. Most people feel the need to defend themselves against every insult, to respond to every criticism, to explain themselves when misunderstood. But why? Why waste energy on those who do not matter? Why engage in battles that do not lead to victory? Silence is not weakness, it is control. It is the ability to recognize that not every action deserves a reaction. Indifference is not carelessness, it is wisdom. It is understanding that most things are not worth your emotional investment. When you learn to remain silent in the face of provocation and indifferent to the meaningless opinions of others, you become untouchable. You remove their power over you. Their words, their judgments, their attempts to provoke you, none of it affects you, because you have chosen not to let it. This is true power, not in fighting every battle, but in refusing to be drawn into them in the first place. People crave reactions. They want to feel important, they want to feel powerful, they want to know that they have affected you. This is why they insult, why they provoke, why they seek to push your buttons. When you react, you give them what they want. You hand them control over your emotions, over your peace. But when you remain silent, when you are indifferent to their attempts, they are left with nothing. Their words lose power. Their insults fall into emptiness. They realize that they cannot move you, and in that realization, they lose their control. Silence is the strongest response because it denies them the satisfaction of knowing they affected you. It forces them to sit with their own words, to feel the emptiness of their own actions. It makes them question themselves instead of making you question yourself. Indifference is even stronger. It is not just refusing to react, it is refusing to care. It is knowing that their words, their judgments, their opinions have no value, and therefore do not deserve your attention. Imagine a fire that needs oxygen to burn. If you argue, if you react, if you engage, you are feeding that fire, making it grow stronger. But if you remain silent, if you refuse to give it anything to burn, it dies out on its own. This is how you handle negativity. The more you respond, the more power you give it. The more indifferent you are, the weaker it becomes. Most people do not understand this. They feel the need to respond to every insult, to explain themselves to those who misunderstand them, to prove their worth to those who doubt them. But this is a waste of energy. A lion does not concern itself with the opinions of sheep. A wise man does not waste words on fools. Silence and indifference are not just ways to avoid conflict. They are ways to maintain your strength, to keep your peace, to refuse to be controlled by the emotions and actions of others. Many believe that silence is a sign of weakness, that indifference is cold-hearted. But this is a misunderstanding. True silence is not about fear, it is about confidence. True indifference is not about lacking emotion, it is about directing emotion wisely. When you remain silent, it is not because you have nothing to say, it is because you know that saying it is pointless. When you remain indifferent, it is not because you do not care about anything, it is because you refuse to care about what does not matter. The greatest power lies in knowing what deserves your energy and what does not. If someone disrespects you, it does not mean you must lower yourself to their level and engage with them. If someone spreads lies about you, it does not mean you must chase after the truth, trying to convince those who have already made up their minds. Your time, your energy, your peace, these are valuable, and they should not be wasted on the unworthy. Silence is a response that few people can handle. It forces them to confront themselves. When someone insults you and you do not react, they are left alone with their own bitterness. When someone tries to provoke you and you remain still, they are forced to question their own motives. This is why silence is feared by those who seek attention. They want your reaction because it validates them. It gives them a sense of power. But when you do not react, they realize they have no control over you. The same is true for indifference. If you do not care, if their words and actions do not move you, then they lose all influence over your mind. This is true power. Not being controlled by others, not letting them dictate how you feel, not giving them a single moment of your peace. The moment you master this, you become untouchable. No insult will hurt you, no betrayal will break you, no negativity will reach you, because you have already decided that it does not deserve a place in your mind. People will always try to test you. They will insult you to see if they can provoke a reaction. They will challenge you to see if they can make you doubt yourself. They will try to pull you into their chaos because they are uncomfortable with your peace. Do not give them what they want. When you react, when you argue, when you allow their words to enter your mind, you are playing their game. But when you remain silent, when you remain indifferent, you rise above them. You show them that their actions have no effect on you, that they are insignificant. This is a power that very few possess, because most people are slaves to their emotions, to their need for validation, to their desire to prove themselves. But the strongest people do not seek validation from others. They do not explain themselves to those who refuse to understand. They do not react to every little challenge that comes their way. They remain steady, calm, and unmoved. Think of the greatest warriors, the wisest leaders, the most disciplined minds. They did not waste time arguing with fools. They did not let petty insults disturb their focus. They remained silent when words were unnecessary, indifferent when distractions appeared, focused only on what truly mattered. This is how you must live. Not every action deserves a reaction. Not every insult requires a response. Not every battle is worth fighting. Sometimes the greatest show of strength is to walk away, to say nothing, to let your silence speak louder than words. Sometimes the ultimate power is in showing that you do not care, because the moment they realize they cannot affect you, they lose all control, and in that moment you become truly free. True strength is in staying unmoved. In a world where people are easily shaken, easily angered, and easily manipulated, the ability to remain steady is the rarest and most powerful trait. Most people allow themselves to be controlled by external events, reacting emotionally to every challenge, every insult, every inconvenience. They live at the mercy of their surroundings, constantly swayed by the opinions, actions, and judgments of others. But real strength is not found in reaction. It is found in stillness. It is found in the ability to remain unmoved, no matter what is happening around you. When someone insults you, true strength is not in arguing back. It is in remaining indifferent. When circumstances do not go your way, true strength is not in complaining, it is in adapting without breaking. When others seek to provoke you, true strength is not in engaging, it is in refusing to be controlled. Those who are truly powerful are not the ones who fight every battle, but the ones who choose which battles deserve their energy. They do not waste their time on petty conflicts or emotional outbursts. They remain steady, grounded, and untouchable. The world will constantly test you, people will challenge you, situations will frustrate you, and life will throw obstacles in your way. If you allow yourself to be moved by every little thing, you will spend your entire life being controlled by forces outside of yourself. Imagine a man who becomes angry every time he is insulted. He is not strong. He is predictable. He is easy to manipulate. All it takes to control him is a few words, a minor inconvenience, or a small challenge. Now, imagine a man who remains completely still in the face of provocation. No insult moves him, no situation shakes him, no setback weakens him. That is strength. That is power. When you learn to stay unmoved, you take away everyone else's ability to control you. They cannot anger you, they cannot hurt you, they cannot disturb your peace, because you do not allow them to. You are no longer a puppet, reacting to the strings others pull. You are free, because nothing outside of you determines your inner state. This is what separates the strong from the weak. Most people believe that strength is found in fighting back, in proving themselves, in responding to every challenge. But true strength is not in reaction. It is in mastery over oneself. It is in choosing not to be provoked, not to be shaken, not to be disturbed by things that do not matter. Look at nature. The mountain does not move when the wind blows. The ocean does not react to a single pebble thrown into it. A tree does not collapse because a bird lands on it. Strength is found in steadiness, in stability, in being rooted so deeply that nothing can pull you away from your center. People who are easily angered, easily upset, easily offended, they are not strong. They are weak because they have no control over themselves. Their emotions dictate their actions, their circumstances dictate their mood. But those who have true strength remain the same no matter what happens. Their peace is not dependent on others. Their confidence is not based on validation. Their mindset is not shaped by the noise of the world. They are still, unshaken, unmovable. There will always be moments that test your ability to stay unmoved. Someone will try to push your buttons, hoping for a reaction. Life will challenge you with difficulties, hoping to break you. The weak will crumble under these pressures, giving in to anger, frustration, or despair. But the strong will remain still. They will not allow the actions of others to dictate their state of mind. They will not allow external circumstances to control their emotions. They will stand firm, not because they do not feel emotion, but because they have mastered it. This is not indifference, this is control. To feel anger but not be ruled by it. To feel pain but not be defeated by it. To feel pressure but not be broken by it. This is true strength. It is easy to react, it is easy to be emotional, it is easy to let the world move you in every direction. But to remain still, to remain steady, to remain unshaken in the face of chaos, that is rare, that is power. Many people believe that to be strong, they must always be in a battle, always proving themselves, always showing their strength. But the strongest warriors do not waste their energy on meaningless fights. They do not allow themselves to be dragged into every conflict. They choose their battles wisely, and most of the time they do not fight at all. They do not need to. Their presence alone is enough. Their silence is more powerful than words. Their stillness is more commanding than any display of aggression. The weak feel the need to react because they fear being seen as powerless. But those who are truly powerful have nothing to prove. They do not care for the opinions of others. They do not seek validation. They do not waste energy on things that do not matter. They know who they are, and because of that, they remain unmoved. They are in control, not because they dominate others, but because they have complete mastery over themselves. Think of the strongest people in history. They were not controlled by their emotions. They did not let insults shake them. They did not let failures break them. They did not let challenges weaken them. They remained steady, focused, and unshaken, no matter what was happening around them. This is how you must be. The world will always try to move you through criticism, through setbacks, through difficulty. But you do not have to be moved. You do not have to react. You do not have to let anything disturb your inner peace. When you master the ability to remain still, to remain steady, to remain unmoved, you become untouchable. No insult can reach you, no failure can destroy you, no challenge can break you. You are in complete control, not of the world, but of yourself. And that is the greatest strength there is. So from this moment forward, not a single person will ever have the power to pull you away from your peace. Let them shout, let them mock, let them act as they will, you will remain unmoved. Because true strength is not in fighting back. True strength is in not needing to. Thank you.